Hello, adventurers. My name's Tyler.
And I'm Richard.
On today's episode, we're breaking down Daggerheart's pre-order update. Welcome to True Strike.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the show.
Yo, what's up?
Daggerheart updates. That's what's up.
Yeah, finally.
I didn't expect this at all.
I was really hoping we get something soon because, oh man, it's been a drought.
It's been a drought, but I didn't expect pictures of like a concept of what the pre-order is actually going to be. Is it actually what it, finished product is going to be? Probably not. Whatever. But still, I didn't expect to see it, and I didn't expect to hear what we heard in the video that they posted after they posted the trailer for the pre-order.
Right, yeah. So take it back a little bit. We recently got a trailer for the pre-order for Daggerheart coming out spring 2025, estimated. And there is a core edition and a premium deluxe super mega edition, which is the core edition plus.
Yeah.
I am hype. Like Richard said, they showed some like generated like images of what, everything should look like. Even the core edition comes with a magnetic box. We'll get to that. So I like that out the jump. Core edition, kind of neat. Kind of looking like you're getting some value for that. And I'm trying to hold back details right now because we're just starting off the show. But man, I'm stoked. Even looking at down to the premium, they show some things and then getting into the details of those things. Just even more proof that this isn't final because the details sound rad, and what's there looks neat, but it's bland. Yeah. So, but it says final images hopefully coming soon on the website, so we'll get to see. And hey, I mean, we know they've been working on stuff since version 1.5, but they've announced at the Christmas event in December they're going to be playing Daggerheart, a Christmas like special for it, live with the final rule set.
Yeah. So
they've got to be nailing these rules down real soon.
Well, no, for a spring 2025 release, event,
they got to be printing.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to be printing relatively soon. So, yeah.
So the cool thing was we got this announcement that, hey, pre-orders are not only happening. This is not only the date. These are not only the editions, but pre-orders are live. You can put this down right now. And even better, that same night/afternoon, night for us, Eastern, they put out a live stream, Matt and Spencer, where they went through some of the changes. They talked some, about the pre-order and stuff, but they've actually told us some more of the changes that are going to be coming in the final version. And they're interesting, and we will discuss them. We have not discussed
that between us.
We do this thing where we both read a thing, look at each other, and is like, we can't talk about this
until
we
can't talk about this until we're on microphone. Because I don't know what his opinions are. I have opinions, obviously.
Right.
And I don't know if we're going to line up.
It might be perfect. It might be completely seamless.
Yeah.
Same thought.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Might not be.
But let's break it down, right? We got these two editions. We got the core edition, the basic edition, if you ask me. But it's $60, I believe, right?
Yep.
$60, and you get, from the website, the core edition set contains a nearly 300 300-page hardcover rulebook and a box containing 279 art-filled cards for rich character customization. Purchase includes a PDF of the rulebook at full release. I love that. Every game needs to do that. Some games do.
Yeah.
Every game needs to do that. And I actually trust Critical Role's and Daring to Press servers to not crash out on you.
We've encountered with PDF issues with other games, and I do trust them that we'll actually get something like this. And the idea of having a PDF is amazing.
I love it so much.
I'm super happy on this. And the price of this core set, incredibly reasonable.
Blows my mind.
So much so that I believe I am wrong in a previous episode, because I know we've talked about this before. We talked about Daggerheart, and I almost went and scrubbed through them to find the episode we talked about it, because I I think my hot take was that it was going to be more. I think I was around like the $85 mark for a book and cards, and I think you were on the team of lower. Yeah, you were on the lower end team.
You got to get in people's hands. This is a new game,
and I was all like, I was with the considering what we're getting all these cards, it's probably going to be like around the 85, and I'm okay with that kind of a situation. Sure. So this was shocking.
I definitely wasn't expecting like a box set situation here. If anyone listening happens to remember what we were, what our guesses were, we were giving our hot takes, let us know in the comments. Yeah. Thank you. Outside from that, this is rad. I don't know how else to say this other than that is what a value, right? $60 in 2020, 2025 money. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
I hope it's a value in 2025.
That's so many cards though.
Yes.
And one thing they've hammered this over and over again is that it's not just going to be copy and pasted art like it was on the beta, on the play test. There's going to be unique art for these cards. That is so much art and so many cards. That alone, for that price point, I'd be like hype. It's maybe $60 for some cards, a magnetic box. It'd be a premium accessory, right? If maybe you had to print and play for this kind of game. I could see myself dropping it though to really have some nice cards. We're getting a whole full-fledged rulebook. We just got another rulebook for 1/3 of a system for like same price.
Yeah.
And I didn't come with no cards.
No. Yeah.
But this is just the core edition, right? Value is in the eye of the beholder. And this premium edition is absolutely a premium edition. Part of me is like, wow, what a steep increase. Because it is more than double at $150. However, it comes with some really nice stuff that I think justifies that price. Not to mention, if any of you are subscribed to Beacon, you get 10% off of these. 10% off the core or 10% off this premium core, this limited edition core.
And I also think it's worth mentioning something you brought up earlier was that 10% discount is actually more, right, because of the taxing.
Yeah, you're saving some because you're not getting taxed for that and stuff.
Yeah.
And Beacon, if you don't have it, Beacon sticks like $6 a month. Just get your Beacon for $6. You get the premium edition.
Yeah, you get a premium edition. You save a little bit of money, and you get to watch some content.
Totally, absolutely. And I'm sure they're fully aware of that's how it's going to go. Yeah. But hey, it gets people in the door because I believe the free trial does not work for this. You have to
you have to be a paid member.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yep. All right. So we got the limited edition of the Daggerheart core set, containing, and this is from their website, exquisite extras and unique art, which will never be made again. How do you feel about this part, Richard?
So this
is the limited run of board games.
The limited run, yeah. So I have two thoughts on this. Okay. At first, I was a little bit shocked. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," but now I'm okay with it. And I know that they're probably going to release a box set down the road that's probably going to be cheaper than this. That is going to be like a one that does include some of the stuff that's in this limited, but not exactly like this. Okay. So like I can imagine them releasing a similar style box set without foil cards, without like super fancy materials on stuff like that for a little bit cheaper. That isn't a limited run.
Gotta have it on the cards a little bit.
But I like this.
Okay.
I like the fact that it's going to be like this set that we're seeing right here. This is your chance to get it.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
I could absolutely see the core set remaining perpetually. And then each of the other things, and by each, I mean the GM screen and the gemstones and stuff like that, being separate. I don't know if they'll do another bundle.
No?
I don't. $60 and then just a la carte piecing the rest together.
Oh yeah, but I can see them. Reasonable. I can see them doing a bundle with like
how many SKUs do they want to have though?
Not premium supplies.
What's the point?
For somebody that wants to just get in one shot without having to piecemeal something together.
That's true. Like Christmas deals,
Yeah.
And but that's something you can still do even selling them a la carte. You could have the bundles.
Yeah, you can have a bundle. Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. Especially if it's all just the
standard
editions. Yes. All right. Let's get through what this premium edition is getting you. The limited edition from the website, and then we'll throw it around. The limited edition is a stunning upgrade with all the material found in the Daggerheart core set, plus unique accessories and enhancements. Store your rulebook and accessories compartment in a gorgeous box with a wraparound cover featuring unique artwork. The accessories compartment holds all of your gorgeous cards and accessories and clasped with a secure magnet. Important to note that the other one also magnet shuts.
Yeah, just a smaller box.
Yes, smaller box. Bigger box. Bigger magnets, maybe? Yeah, magnets. Alternate cover artwork on the box, rulebook, and accessories compartment. I love that. They had me at alternate. Find all the references at your fingertips with the GM screen, which I assume will be sold separately. But you get it now. I'm surprised that doesn't also come with alternate art. If they're going to sell the GM screen separately, I'm surprised this doesn't have a special
Another SKU, though.
Yeah, but it's you've already got the alternate cover art on the box, rulebook, and accessories compartment, man.
Yeah, true.
But just throw me some alternate art on the GM screen. I mean, of all things, too, right?
Yeah,
because if I've got all the premium
you
things,
want it to look premium.
Forward facing, everything else is hidden.
No, I get
You're
that.
never going to see my book outside of me pulling up rules or something.
I'll ask Spencer about it later.
Please do. Stunning art facing the players and quick reference information on the Game Master's side regarding mechanics, difficulty, making moves, rewarding hope, and using fear, and more. Love to see it. Create character after character with the rip pad of character sheets.
Yay!
I'm stoked.
Those sheets
for this
better
one.
be in the PDF, though.
Oh, they have to be.
Yeah.
Right? They have to be. But the fact that you're getting some rip sheets?
I've seen games that don't include
It's
character
going to.
sheets. I'm just saying, I better be in the PDF.
It will. It will. It'll be there. And if not, they're just going to have free, resources on Daring to Press, I'm sure. They're being very, I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt, but they're being very, player forward.
I know they
this
are,
game.
but we've done a lot of systems in the last year.
Yeah.
And not everybody does that.
That's fair.
So
it'll happen. Mark my words. You're also getting a set of 9 dice made just for Daggerheart. Yeah, just for Daggerheart. Don't use them for anything else.
Yeah.
A full set of standard polyhedrals, a D4, D6, D8, a set of 2 percentile D10s, D12, and D20, as well as 2 D12s of differing colors and hope and fear dice, all held within a satin drawstring bag. One thing they don't mention here is that these are sharp edge.
Yeah, the sharp edge dice.
Hype. I love me some sharp edge. That bumps this up a big old notch.
Yeah, they don't mention it here. They mention it in the video when they're talking about it. They talk about sharp edge dice. So that's cool.
Yep. Also, use a set of 102 crystal tokens, acrylic, to track fear, modifiers, rolls, actions, or anything else you might need. So it comes with 102 crystal tokens, varying colors. I'm interested in seeing the final version of those because when we played Daggerheart, I actually bought some crystal tokens. They looked eerily similar to the art they've put up, the rendering.
Yeah, the rendering.
They look almost identical.
Yeah.
You pointed out the ones they show in the image are matte, and mine are clear. No, we'll see what the final version looks like.
I actually hope they're matte. I like matte.
Oh, I hope they are too.
I like matte better than I like.
So you don't like what
crystal.
I bought?
No, they're horrible.
Okay, I will throw them away. We'll never use them again. One big thing that they did not mention here in their details, right? They didn't mention on the big splash page. They didn't mention when they break down the finer points of the premium edition. And yet, it's something I brought up to you yesterday, and you've already brought up this episode.
Oh, yeah.
The cards are foil-edged.
Yeah, they're foil-edged cards. So the only time that they bring this up is in the actual live stream video.
Yep.
I think Spencer says it when he's talking about it. He says foil-edged cards. And then Matt's like, oh, yeah, beautiful foil-edged cards. And I was like, wait a second. That wasn't in the material that I read before.
Because it was one
thing
I
went back and I looked and I was like, oh, yeah, it's not in there.
Yeah,
okay.
because it was one of the things that I was disappointed in.
Yeah.
I personally was like, all right, if I'm buying a premium edition, God, you imagine how pretty these cards would be if there's some foiling or something. It could be, like holographic images, something like just make them pop for the premium, and they don't. And it's fine. I get it. The value's there still, but you're gonna foil edge them and not put that in your marketing notes? Come on.
So
that's something I want.
Here is the first place in the video where we disagree.
You don't want the foil edge.
I do not want the foil edge cards.
Wow.
This would actually make me not get this
core
set. I will piecemeal a core out.
Wow.
Specifically because I do not want foil cards. I don't like foil cards.
Interesting.
So I have more experience in foil cards than you do.
Sure.
I'm hoping that their manufacturing process is different
in Daring to
than other card games.
Yeah.
But other card games in general, I absolutely despise foil cards. One, because they pringle, which I don't know if you know anything about this, but foil cards tend to have a curve to them. And it's just something that happens to almost all foil cards.
So is that going to happen with just foil edged cards?
So I've seen it happen. Like I have foil edge cards and I have seen it happen to foil edge. So it's something that is depending on the manufacturer of the cards. Some companies do it better than some companies. So it doesn't happen as much or it's not as prominent or anything like that. But some are horrible, even for small stuff. And just generally, I don't like the look of foiled cards. And that's just a personal preference thing. I know a lot of people love foil cards, foil edge cards, all that fun stuff. I don't like any foil on any of my cards. I prefer standard artwork. So that right there is... I want everything else in this set.
It's so funny they didn't mention this online.
Because I'm a dice goblin. And I want those dice, even though I have already specifically bought Daggerheart dice. We haven't played Daggerheart since I bought dice, but I bought dice specifically for this. I was like at Gen Con, I was hunting for Hope and Fear dice at so many different vendors until I finally found some custom, dice picking areas where I could pick out some nice dice. But I will always get a nice new set of dice. I want the dice that are in here. I want the collector's box with all the stuff that you can put in there. I want all of that, but they're killing me with the foil cards.
That's so
absolutely killing me with the foil cards. And I know I'm being picky, but for me, it's going to be, I'm just going to hope for piecemealing stuff out in the future.
We should reach out
on the core
to people in our circle and see if we know anyone else that's going to pick this up.
Oh, and trade cards
and just swap cards.
I would trade cards in a heartbeat
because I'm sure, like if it was me, for example, right? Because I'm also going to get this premium one.
Yeah,
I would just 100% like take them. Please give me your foils.
Yeah, no, I would trade my foils out in a heartbeat.
I wonder how many people like you then are going to be disappointed when they order this, thinking it's just regular cards
and they get
the foil, and they're like, "What the heck?" And it wasn't mentioned online.
I would be slightly disappointed, even if they don't
live stream,
even if they don't pringle, because they're foil edge and everything like that. If they're fine, I just don't like shiny cards. Yeah, when it comes down to it, I do not like them. So they're losing me on that.
You hate fun,
but if that's the only thing they lose me on this deluxe edition, that's pretty good.
Is it? Because you're talking about not buying it.
Well, that's the thing.
Over the edges of your cards.
I am not going to buy it unless I can find somebody that wants to trade foils. If somebody wants to trade foils for normals, then I'll probably end up doing it.
Well, you're reaching out to Spencer anyway.
Yeah, I'll just
ask, mention this.
We're going to need 2 different editions here. But no, that's
drive me crazy.
That's where they lost me. That's where they lost me.
It's so great for me because I heard that and I was like, ooh, I'm so excited. This is amazing.
And I was disappointed to the part where I was like double checking. I was like, he's got to be wrong, right? He's wrong. Yeah, he's wrong. It's not in the original marking material. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he has no idea.
It's I'm sad about that.
He'll release an errata for his words.
Yeah, sad about
the live stream. Either that or the rest of the team right now is like, what is he talking about? Now we got to do it.
Everything else is great. The GM screen, the dice is fun. I like the acrylic.
I can't wait till we see the art for the
trackers,
GM screen.
The art. I want to see the art.
Yeah. Everything they've done so far has been fantastic. There's no way the screen's going to be anything less.
Yeah. And I love me a cool GM screen.
Do you think Matt will be using the official GM screen at Christmas?
I hope so.
I could see it.
Yeah,
if they're going to be using final art or final rules, he might have the prototype.
Yeah, I could see that happening. That'd be cool.
It's just nothing but self-promotion. Okay. I just want to keep talking Daggerheart. We're running out of things already. Okay. That was it for all the pre-order madness. We are not paid by Darrington Press or Critical Role or anything like that.
No. We're not even...
we're just excited.
I'm not even subscribed to Beacon. I don't know if you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay, yeah.
Will I be to order this book? 100%.
It's funny because we talk about it like we are. Yeah. We're like, yeah, you got to sign up for Beacon. You're going to get a discount.
It's because when I go to order this, guess what I'm doing?
Yeah, you're going to sign up for Beacon.
I'm going to spend my $6. I'm going to save my 15.
Yeah.
I'm going to save my 9. And I'm going to enjoy a month of Stinky Dragon, which is coming to Beacon, and some Critical
That makes me happy. That's cool.
Me too.
I like that a lot. That was a really cool announcement.
Yeah. that beacon wasn't just Critical Role forever. They're already like saving.
And if you haven't seen this yet, what we're referring to is Tales of the Stinky Dragon.
Yes,
is now on
former
Beacon.
Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, former Rooster Teeth. They found a new home on Beacon, so you can go watch. I haven't actually looked. Is it all the previous episodes?
Not
like,
positive.
did they do the backlog? Because that was what I was wondering, if they have the whole backlog.
I know. What is it? Campaign 3 is going to premiere there and stuff. I hope the backlog comes over too.
So I was curious about the backlog because licensing. Yeah. So I was worried that they're not going to have the backlog, but it is cool that they have a place to continue and move forward, even if they don't get the backlog.
Right.
That's kind of cool. So
Critical went a little bit through a little bit of that themselves, when they switched over. So we'll see. All right. What I definitely wasn't expecting from this live stream, but we got anyway, was updates to the game.
Yeah.
Granted, all these things could change.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We've still got...
There's still time. Yeah, months to change. And they actually... he says in here that they're still holding stuff close to the chest. These are changes that are forward-facing. These are big changes, and they're still holding stuff in secret that they haven't even announced. Some which sound like he's talking about are like game-changing things, which makes me super curious. I really want to know what these are, because what they announced was shocking, to say the least. This was not just all like, oh yeah, we're just changing a couple of the names of a couple of the cards, and one of these species we're going to change the name of that. We've
reversed which of these abilities takes place before the other one.
Yeah, no, they made big changes.
Swinging for the fences.
Big changes. Yeah. And this is the part that we really haven't talked about at all.
None of it.
Because I don't know your opinion on any of these changes.
So we'll give some baseline of some of these swings he came in with. First off, he mentions they are attempting to streamline the game.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be, and some of this is me reading into it a little bit. I think they look at other tabletop games and are like, hey, we may never be able to truly compete with some of these more complex titles, and is for it's just a smaller team, less time, et cetera, et cetera. But we can be the extremely user-friendly streamlined system. And whether you've been playing games for a long time or new, sometimes a streamlined game is awesome, especially for people who want to roleplay more than anything else. This is fantastic. So he mentioned some of the changes that they're making to achieve that goal. One of them being, and this is a big one if you've played Daggerheart at all, they have streamlined combat by making action tracker optional. And by optional, it's not the base rules. Like the action tracker and action tokens are gone. They are still technically in the book.
Mm-hmm.
They're listed as an option if you want to track player turns, basically. But they're not used for anything. Like, it's not used for how many GM moves you get and stuff like that, like it previously was. I'm going to use a fear token to buy 2 more action tokens. That's not how it works anymore.
Yeah.
So, one, fear is now like the economy for how your GM is going to do these extra moves and stuff like that. Straight up, you're not tracking all this anymore. But I'm as someone who ran this game, love this change. I was constantly getting not lost in the sauce, but like, it's just another thing. And then you guys would go, and then I would go, and I have to hand you back your tokens, and we tried to have everyone have their own color, so everyone got theirs back. And I'm constantly leaning back and forth over the GM screen, see how many action tokens I have, and it was just another thing. And if you could tell me it's just combat is just going to flow back and forth naturally, like any tabletop role-playing game should, I'm in. Unless you got some points of why this is bad.
No, so you mentioned it when we played it, and you hit the nail on the head, which was you were definitely having a hard time keeping track of what was going on with the action tracker. At times, like partway through the game, which you can probably see in the video, I started to assist with that.
Well, we didn't have video for it, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we crashed.
You might be able to hear it in the audio.
You might be able to hear it, yeah. So at one point during the game, I realized that it was becoming a bit of a struggle to kind of keep up with it. So I was trying to keep you more abreast of how many action tokens existed.
Yes.
And I was also trying to alleviate with some housekeeping, so me moving the action trackers around, giving things back to people and everything like that, because it became
it was a huge help.
It became a bit of a side chore that needed to be done, and it's not something you could depend on your players to do on their individual, you know, stuff like that. And
you got to pick your one player.
it was clear that it wasn't as smooth as it could be. And that's why I think this system is absolutely brilliant and perfect in streamlining that system, because it doesn't take away from the style of gameplay that Daggerheart was when we played it.
You're right.
I don't think it takes away from that. I think that it just changes the focus to be more on the actual playing and less on the management of resources. You can still do a lot of stuff. You're still using your currency to do the same things, but you're not buying your currency based on the player choices and having to depend on that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot less for everybody to keep track of. You're tracking your own fear. The players can see that fear and know, you know, like how much you got,
still
how
cap
scary thing is. Yeah, still cap at 12, but still, you know, that's still that looming thing, right? It's still that looming thing of like, oh man, he has a lot of fear now. There's a lot of things that can happen inside and outside of combat. And I'm still also, as a player, managing my hope as my currency.
Right.
Now it's not a market exchange. Right. Like my actions are now just, you know, coming into a weird market floor that which you can buy from, you know.
Oh, you think I have 4 actions? Well, guess what? I'm going to buy more.
Yeah, it's weird, and it worked, and it was fun, and I liked the system for what it was.
It could have launched how it was.
Yes, it could have launched for what it was, and I think even Spencer says in the video is like we were.
He was specifically talking about one of the things we're going to get to soon.
Things, yeah, is that like it was fun and it worked, but this is so much better.
They tried it, and he mentioned that he wouldn't have tried it if he didn't think it would be better.
Yeah.
They tried it, and the reaction from players was, "Oh, that was easier."
Yeah.
And the GMs were like, "Wow, that was easier."
Yeah, a lot easier.
And the players were like, "We didn't notice any change really."
Yeah.
No. So to the players, it should play like it always has. And the GMs, you're just tracking less.
Less stress.
Yes.
Yeah. Less stress of trying to figure that out, or having to depend on somebody to help you with housekeeping is big. So
for sure.
I love this change.
Okay.
I welcome this change with open arms.
I do still have some questions, and maybe they've explained it and I just missed it. I know they mentioned that at the beginning of the game, you get some fear based on how many players.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, is that each session? Is that the game? How is that each long rest?
I believe,
because they also mentioned you get fear tokens on short rest and long rest, depending which one it is.
Yeah.
Which is cool because, your players feel free to keep taking short rest. I'm just going to keep accumulating fear.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because you can see it both ways, right? But then it's almost like it would be weird if it was every single game the fear resets, right? Because then it's almost like a use it or lose it situation. Yeah. Like if you're in the middle of a really tense dungeon and a lot of stuff is happening and you've built up all this fear, and then one of your players is like, oh man, I just got a call, I really got to go. So we got to end the game now. And you're all like, before you leave, I'm going to use all my fear to do all this thing.
Well, he does specifically say at the beginning of the game. So maybe he meant it word for word.
Yes.
When you start the game
as
this is
a
your fear.
GM,
everything else you're gaining
throughout the game, which I can see that. Like I said, I can see it both ways.
Yes.
And I can see it good and bad both ways, because if that's the way, then, you might have a game where you start out the game and you have no fear as a game master, right? And you're just building it up, kind of a situation.
My current fear, is, and this happened during our game even, becoming fear starved.
Yes. Yeah.
Because the way they're doing it now is they described it. When players roll with hope, they gain hope. When a GM rolls with fear, they gain fear.
We'll see.
I'm trying to figure out how often that's going to come up, right? And how many situations. If a player rolls with fear, do I still gain fear?
See, so my understanding is yes. I think you're gaining fear when a player rolls with fear. Yes.
Okay, because if they said that, I missed it. I was wondering if that was one thing they removed. So if that's still a continuous source of fear, okay, cool. That's fine. You'll still end up with plenty of fear. Yeah. If not,
I can definitely see you getting fear starved, which is why I kind of worry a little bit about that. Which is why I can see it both ways.
And then, this is the weird thing about Daggerheart's system, and it's such a weird one. If you have so much fear, do you just destroy your players? Or do you have to hold yourself back? Because you can't hoard the fear.
Yeah.
Like, do you start the encounter? And one of the things they changed, I'll skip to the end here. They used to call, using an enemy character as the GM activating.
Yeah.
Now they're calling it spotlighting. And it's trying to focus on the narrative flow of moving the spotlight to an enemy. I hate this. It's fine. I want to show the spotlight on a character. But even Matt, in their example play, they did like a 15-20 minute game, slipped and started just saying activating because I think it's easier. It's more natural. And granted, it's a word, so easier is.
I think it's just because of the fact that it's still a new word even for them.
But even for me to be like, oh, I'm going to spotlight this character. I'm going to spotlight this character. I'm never going to say that unless it's like a big moment, right? If I've got 3 guys on the floor, and 2 of them are going to come up, take their attack. I'm like, all right, I'm going to activate these 2. This one's going to come up. He's going to do this. I'm going to use a fear. I'm going to activate this one. It's going to come up and do this. Oh, and then I'm going to spend another fear, and I'm going to put the spotlight on this guy, and he's going to come over here, and he's going to try to push this tree over on you because he's doing something cinematic. I want the camera to move to him, right? I'm not going to say I want the camera to go to every single little
thematic
thing.
Man.
Maybe.
It's theater of the mind.
We'll see. Am I going to do it every time? It's not going to happen. I think it's actually probably going to work exactly the way I mentioned. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I don't even get to here. I don't even remember. Spotlight.
I don't like Spotlight.
That. Fear starved and all the other things.
Oh, yeah. Using Spotlight to keep spotlighting enemies over and over again.
Enemies. How many? You can have 12 of these things, right? Am I going to take 12 turns?
Well, no. I think they're depending.
Well, you can only spotlight each one. If that remains the same on launch, previously you could only respotlight 1 enemy per round.
Yes.
So if I have 3, I could only use 3 to 2 actually, because I'd get 1 off the jump.
Yeah, 1
and
off the jump.
And then do 2 more to do the others, and then that would be capped anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense.
So no, yeah, I think that's going to be it. And then also, I think it is going to it's the same thing really as being a game master. Period. Yeah. Right. You have to either check yourself as a game master to not destroy your characters, period.
Others.
Yeah, and this is just adding a currency to it. Even if you strip that away in just a normal D&D encounter, at any point you can just be all like, and a dragon flies overhead. But you don't do that because you're not just trying to completely destroy your party. You're trying to make a fun, interactive story. So even if you have a ton of fear, unless you're a certain type of game master, you're probably not going to just steamroll your party.
That's the funny thing about this kind of system.
And I don't think those players are going to play this game, though.
It depends. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm really interested to see if this game really takes off or if it just doesn't stick. And it's going to take off in this room. We're going to play the heck out of this game. And I know a lot of our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I think it has an
super
audience
into this. Oh, for sure.
I think it has an audience, and I think it's going to be a very split audience.
I'm stoked to see just how it goes, because I would love to see something come through here and really rock the boat for these TTRPGs and stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping happens. I want to see. It's next spring. I hope we get numbers on how pre-orders are going. That would be fantastic.
That'd be cool.
Oh, and I think we did mention, we glossed over it. This limited edition of Daggerheart, of this limited edition core set, is limited. They're not making more.
Yeah.
He said when they're out, they're out. That's it. They didn't give us a number, but if you're interested, it is $150. But if you want it, get your pre-order in sooner than later.
Yeah, do it sooner than later.
Because we don't know how long they're gonna last. Yeah. I'm going to get mine in as soon as I can for that exact example. Anything else on the chart?
No, I like it.
Me too. I'm excited to play it like this. Ooh, man. All right. They also changed, how do I put this? Armor. Right? Armor previously, different armor would give you a different armor score.
Mm-hmm.
And you could spend one of your little armor slots to take off that much. And you could use multiple armor slots to bring it down, the damage down, as many armor slots you did versus, whatever, to get to different damage thresholds. You got your minor, your major, and your severe. Now, when different armors give you different amounts of armor slots, correct? Am I wrong on that?
Yes, essentially.
Yes, so you get different amounts of armor slots based on what armor you have. And when you use an armor slot, it is reducing your damage a threshold. So if you take severe, you go to and use one, you're going to major. If you take major, you go to minor. If you took minor damage and use a armor slot, you take no damage. I'm intrigued. So I get why they did this.
Yes. And they actually talk about why they did it in the video,
I'm glad
too.
They did.
Yeah, they talk about it a lot. And it's something that we encountered in our game, too, which actually doesn't slow down the game a lot, but does slow it down a little bit.
We were also very low level.
Yeah, when you start to talk about, my turn's coming in and I'm going to use, so many armor slots to reduce the damage by that many numbers, you end up starting to do a lot of math. It's quick math, it's, addition, subtraction, but it is still math that you're having to do. And in the heat of combat, trying to figure out, okay, I need to do this many. Oh, I'm still too short. I got to do a whole other armor slot to do this. And they noticed that it was getting worse at higher levels.
Right.
So they decided to have your damage thresholds linked to armor rather than class, basically. Mm-hmm. And this just means that combat is going to be a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot smoother because now it's just, am I taking, major damage or minor damage or no damage? I am not just intrigued by this. I think it's a great move.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I love it. The idea, I think, is excellent. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's going to work really well for this type of game. I like it a lot because I think that the problem with the system before was that this is what they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. They were trying to get to this, but they were still so tied to the old way of math and crunchy numbers.
Yes.
So they tried to meld two systems together. And what they ended up with was something that was clearly functional, but maybe wasn't the cleanest. And this cleans it up. So this cleans it to make it way more streamlined. There's no math involved here. There's just, I've got this kind of stuff coming in.
Yep.
Am I going to be able to use my armor to lower this? And then also he described it as kind of being more thematic too, right? So he came with the idea of you have a bunch of adventurers and a dragon swoops over and then hits them all with flame, where everybody could just dump all their armor slots and just negate everything. Mm-hmm. Versus now it's more realistic to show that certain people might be able to withstand this better than others, and shows kind of armor wearing down throughout a fight. Yep. There's only so much that you can block with, your gauntlet up before it starts to fail you and you start to actually take damage.
Yeah. Because one thing and it ties into that dragon thing that we haven't touched on really yet was that your armor type will also determine your thresholds.
Yeah.
So in that instance, someone with a stronger armor with the dragon going over, not only, if everybody is going to potentially use an armor slot and drop down a threshold, well, your Seraph might drop from a severe to a major, where a caster might drop from well, no, I guess the other way around.
The other way around.
Severe to a major, where your Seraph might be from a major to a minor.
Yeah.
Because they have a different threshold.
Yeah. And I think that's where when they started talking about it at first, they almost lost me when they're all we are moving damage thresholds from being a thing about your character and to the armor and
class and stuff. Yep.
And I was like, ooh, that's weird. That seems odd that the damage thresholds are tied to that, because it made a little bit more sense for it to be tied to a class, right? Because it felt more balancy. Because you think about traditional classes, right? You think about, you just said, the Seraph, which is, a holy warrior with big plate armor versus a wizard who's just wearing a robe.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that the thresholds are tied to those specific things because you have those two different things. it really accomplishes the same thing though. And when they started to explain it, it started to make more sense. And they quickly had me on their side. And like I said, anything that streamlines the system and kind of fits into more what they're trying to do is good. And this is another change that I am completely on with. And like I said, saying I'm intrigued by it isn't really true. I'm just excited by it.
So other than the foil cards, this has been a great update for you.
This has been a great update so far. Other than the foil updates, I have loved both of these things. Yeah. And like, I have nothing to complain about this. Okay. I really don't. Yeah, I like it.
So I'm super excited for this back and forth. I really love actually the damage thresholds being tied to your armor.
Yeah.
I think that makes so much sense, right? Like this heavier armor can take more damage. And since it can take more damage, the number to damage it is higher. I like it. That just makes sense to me over like some robes or whatever. The idea they're going for here was that, thresholds, your armor, your HP, your health and stuff is your body. Stress is your brain.
Yeah, is your brain. Yeah.
But when we get to the armor slots reducing you down a category, that's where they lose me a little bit. And it's not because I hate streamlining games. I really like that part. It's because, and please tell me how I'm wrong, because I want to be wrong about this. You're going to want to use armor slots immediately every time if you have them. Because no matter when you use it, it's only going to reduce your damage by 1. Always. Therefore, armor slots are just more hit points. For every armor slot, you're looking at 1 hit point. There's never a reason to save armor for the dragon when the goblin hit you for 2. He hit you for a major. Because if you're reducing by 1 from the goblin, you're reducing by 1 from the dragon. That is the only thing I do not like so far about how armor is being handled now. And they mentioned that in higher levels with different cards and different classes, you can double down a little bit. Maybe you can use 2, and that's fine. There we go. That might solve everything. But top level, what we know right now, I'm not big on the fact that just use them. Never save your armor. If you get hit, and you will take damage, even if it's 1, if you're going to take 1 damage and you have an armor slot, use it. Because it's always going to reduce by 1.
I think that's going to change based on abilities and cards, though.
Yes, I do too. We do not know that yet.
We don't know that yet, but it's been heavily implied when they talked about it, that's something that is intrinsically tied to this new system.
And is that every class? Is that Seraphs? Is that just the heavier
It's probably not going to be every class, but I think it's going to be a lot of classes.
And that's where it gets weird.
Some classes are going to have options for this that are going to make it to where you're just... Well, I mean, it doesn't change it. Even when we were doing with armor the other way, when we were in combat, we were using our armor slots all the time. Well, because there was no reason to not use them. And in fact, in a lot of times you had to point this out in our game to other players where why aren't you using your armor slots? There's no reason not to use these right now.
Sometimes there was.
There's no reason to not use at least 1 here. You might have to use 2 to get a little bit better, but there's no reason to not use 1 here. And it was even worse at lower levels because they're hitting you for so little. So 1 armor slot was negating it completely. So it was the same exact thing back then.
There was totally a reason not to use it sometimes. Because sometimes 1 wouldn't be enough.
Well, no, but that was
still take
rare.
The damage.
That was rare.
But it happened.
That's what I'm saying, though. That was not in every case because of our level. Maybe it got... maybe it balanced and changed as we got to higher levels.
But it wasn't something
at
that
our
never
lower
came
levels, it was pretty much the same thing. It was really and actually I'm pretty sure I said it at one point during either one of the after reviews or when we were talking about the game, which was, it does feel like there's no reason not to use armor slots, especially during some of these encounters. Why not use it? Why risk taking that damage when you could just use the armor slot right now?
Just depended on the armor type and whether you needed 1 or 2 or whatever.
But that's what I'm saying. And then what we were playing, it was pretty much the same exact situation.
And then you were in the situation where you could burn multiple, right, on a turn and burn through your armor faster. And you had to watch this resource. And now it's just, you're just going to use it every time you get hit until it's gone.
I think it's the same situation.
Same picture?
I really do. It's the same picture. I think it's the same picture, especially if you start to think about what they may have added card and ability wise.
That's where it gets interesting, and I need more data.
Yeah, but I think even without that, I think it's the same picture. I think it is. I think it really comes down to the same thing, which is, you're gonna want to use your armor slots when you got them, because that's what armor's for.
It gets weird.
It's like walking out and you're all like, I'm going to face you, goblin, but first, I'm going to not use any of my armor. I'm going to take it all off because I'm saving it for a dragon, not for you.
Well, I mean, you could, though.
But it's like, you're going to use it anyway.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. It's just like, if you're the GM and you're applying minor damage to a player, right? Every minor hit for so many armor slots is a waste of your time.
Not really, though, because that's the other thing too. Is
other than just whittling down armor.
Well, you're dealing with two different things here. You're dealing with your armor score, right? Mm-hmm. Which we don't really know the final rules about repairing your armor and getting back your armor slot.
Sure,
versus healing.
Versus what's different,
right? It might be a whole lot easier to heal body damage than it is to repair armor. So if that's the case, I'm going to be looking at that. I'm going to be looking at that and saying, okay, well, if I am not a good smith and I can't repair my armor as well as I can have a party member mend a wound on my arm, then I'm going to take that wound on my arm before expending my armor, because I might need this against something that's really going to matter. So I'll take that hit. I'm not going to use my armor. I'll take that hit because I got a potion that I can drink. This potion isn't going to bring me back armor slots. This potion is going to heal me physically, right? My character friend is going to heal me physically, not my armor. Mm-hmm. So in that case, I'm definitely not going to use my armor. I'm going to save that for when the dragon flies overhead and I need my armor. It's the same picture.
That's the only way that works, though.
It's the same picture.
Otherwise, you're just going to burn him.
I have all my faith. He's up there on a candle, Matt Mercer.
I don't know if he's in shot. Probably not.
He's not in shot.
There's a Matt Mercer candle. He's always there watching over us.
I think this is again, love it. Great
Overall,
change.
I like the direction they're going.
I like the direction.
I like that they're thinking about this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I need to see some higher level stuff before I'm really, really into it. Otherwise, we'll see.
I'm into it.
But
I'm into it. And it all comes back to that whole streamlining the game, making it more focused on the story and getting back to the action than making it a number crunch.
I definitely think this makes it less deadly. And that was something we ran into.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned, it's the same. I don't think it's the same. There definitely are important times where it just wouldn't math out. It wasn't enough to get you where you needed to be. And this, no matter what the disparity in your threshold is, one brings it down to the next one. Well, that math is gone, which is the entire purpose. But because of that, I think it makes the system a little tiny bit less deadly, which might actually really be the intent.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Daggerheart low level, quite deadly.
It was dangerous.
In fact, in their little spur of the moment game they put on.
Oh, yeah.
Quite deadly.
Quite deadly.
When the player doesn't roll hot, it can go south real quick. I want to see it. I want to play it.
Yeah, no. They did
Do you think there'll be any changes? Sorry.
Oh, changes to what?
These big changes here.
Ooh,
the armor and stuff like that. Do you think this is set in stone? Or do you think they're actually still working on it?
I think these two things are set in stone.
Okay.
I really do. I think these two things right there are going to be the way things are moving forward, and I think we might just see a little bit more detail and a little bit more interaction as far as card and ability interaction with certain things.
And by two things, you're
I'm referring to the
action tracker,
and the armor.
But the armor is also the thresholds being tied to it.
Yes, yeah, I see that all as one thing.
Okay.
Yeah. When I look at this, I see that as two major announcements, basically. Armor is sucking in all this other stuff, and action tracker is being completely reworked reworked to just be literally that, just a tracker.
Gone.
It's just a tracker if you want it there.
Optional tracker.
Yeah. So I think that both these things are going to stick.
Okay.
I really do think they are. And maybe you're right. Maybe they're trying to make it a little bit less lethal on players. It could be something along those lines. And that's another thing, actually, that I did want to touch on, too, is that what they mentioned closer to the end of the video, when Spencer and Matt were talking about encounters and stuff like that, they are trying to make it easier for the GM to balance those encounters.
Yes, they are.
By basically making it very straightforward to be able to know how many dice you're rolling as a game master, so that when you bring forth an enemy, that it's not going to completely steamroll everybody.
Right.
It's a lot easier as a game master to balance your stuff to make sure that it works really well. That is super important to me.
Love this.
I love it because in a lot of systems, it is kind of difficult. Monster of the Week is so hard to balance encounters. It's so difficult because you are making up everything, and there is no standard for encounters and for monsters. Any monster that you make up in Monster of the Week and any abilities that you give it are just completely made up.
Yeah.
And you have to really get a feel for what your players can do and what your players are going to do to help you balance something like that. It's incredibly difficult and requires a lot more foresight than other systems that are just like, this is a CR3 zombie.
Sure.
This is what it is. So that was really cool that they're putting a lot of thought into a way to quickly kind of create encounters and adversaries that are not going to steamroll.
It's funny though when they go through it, because one, of course it's brilliant. It's so simple, and yet the wild swings on some of these changes. And what he's getting at is they're basically like, hey, are your adventurers a tier 1, a tier 3, where are they at in this? If they're tier 1, it's like a weaker enemy, well, they're going to roll 1d6, right? They're a little stronger, 1d10. They're real strong, the big boy? That's a d20, 1d20. What if it's a tier 3 and they're a big boy? That's 3d20.
3d20.
It's just a duplication of the dice depending on like the threat level and what tier they are. The swings of rolling a 3 total or a 60 is nuts. It's wild. They're off their rockers. I'm hyped for it. It's brilliant to be able to just be like, they're this level, here's this creature, it rolls this. Because this is its threat level matches their level. I use 3 dice because they're tier 3. Boom. Piece of cake. That's great. It's still nuts. And it's the system they've created. And they mentioned there's going to be some modifiers and stuff too.
There's going to be modifiers.
There's a little bit of hand holding there, but from just surface level, you'll be able to know what you're going to be rolling.
Yeah.
I love it.
No,
that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Speaking of GM help, they also mentioned their scenarios that they're working on, right?
Oh, yeah, more scenarios. Yep.
And one of the ones, what was the name? Top of my head. It was very like Dark Souls.
Yeah, so basically they're
inspired.
doing their frameworks, not scenarios. So the frameworks are campaign frameworks, which are basic settings that you can just throw people in to give you an idea how to build your work.
Some history.
Yeah, and Matt's one that he's contributing to this book. I forget what they called it. It was like Umber.
Umber.
Yeah, it was Umber.
How are you so good at this?
Umber was essentially a Dark Souls inspired. The world is like decaying in a constant state of decay. There's pyres that you can gather around that are safe spots, and you constantly have to keep watch. And it's just the very dark, very completely opposite from the Menagerie.
Absolutely.
So it's just a very dark world setting. The frameworks are some of my favorite things that I've seen out of the beta tests, because they're just super exciting to have like these basic worlds.
Very, very varying varieties of voracious.
Yeah.
I can't come up with more V words.
Well, right now,
isn't.
We know of 3, right? So we've got Umbra, we've got the fungus world, where there's the fungus encroaching, taking over a lot of the world and stuff like that.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, there's one. There's a fungus that's encroaching and taking over the world. I got
bad brain.
And then there's the political intrigue, Game of Thronesy one, where there's all the different houses in the war and everything like that. You were totally
all new to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I was here.
So those are the 3 that I think we know about now. I think it was 2 before, and then now Umbra makes the 3rd. There may have been a 4th one, but I can't remember.
Aha! Welcome to my life.
But I know those are the ones. The fungal one is my favorite. I want to play that one real bad.
I'm stoked for all these.
So yeah,
I want to see more.
Frameworks are cool.
This is going to be one of those pump these out forever sort of things.
Oh yeah, no, that's just super easy for them to release something like that and just like write a whole new world.
Yep.
It's super cool. Yeah.
Love it. Into it. I can't. Ooh. I wonder when they do their next campaign, which of course we're assuming is going to be Daggerheart. Why wouldn't it be?
Oh, which framework are they going to use?
Are they going to keep up with their Critical Role style 120 episode thing, or are they going to go more Dimension 20? And do smaller seasons with different frameworks?
My stab on that one is smaller seasons, different frameworks. Really? Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll do smaller seasons.
I hope that's what they do.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people that has fallen off of Campaign 3.
And that's where I think a lot of people are. Not to say that Critical Role is not as popular as it was, but they have fallen off on numbers slightly. And I think that's because a lot of people, it's a lot of time to invest into a lot of things. Whereas like shorter bursts, I think they can see, if you look at the live play field, there's a lot of success to be had in shorter form. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's a lot more fun and probably a lot more engaging for them to do that, to do shorter form stories that, I'm not talking about like one shots. I'm talking about just like you said, Dimension 20s and stuff like that, where you're like 24 episodes or something like that. Yeah. You can get a lot done.
Absolutely.
Wow. A lot done.
And then you can revisit
in that. And you can also revisit. Yeah.
And they're in Daggerheart only going to level 10.
Yeah.
It actually makes even more sense.
It's more interesting, I think, to treat it like a season of a show where you have 22 episodes. You know what I mean? Where you have that story arc, and then if you want to come back, you do another.
Because if you're doing 100 plus episodes, only 10 levels, every 10 episodes, maybe a level up.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you have to think too, like, this is a lot more of a streamlined system, so there's going to be a lot less maintenance happening. So it might be faster too in that respect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But like you said, this was a really good update for me. It was a really good update in general for something we didn't expect. Yeah, no, I loved everything in this. Hey, pre-orders are live. Also, new things. Yeah. Like the only thing that disappoints me is so inconsequential. Yeah. Like it's like the smallest little thing. I'm sure there's people that don't like some of these changes. For sure. Yeah, if you don't like it, tell us why. Please. What specifically don't you like about? What are we missing? Yeah, what do you not like about the new action tracker system or the lack thereof? What do you not like about the new armor system? Just let us know what you think. Let us know why foil-edged cards are superior. I'm gonna get so much hate for not liking foil cards. Maybe everyone's against me, and there's so much hate for not liking foil cards. No, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Richard's so right. Foil's the worst." I'm the only Magic player in existence that opens up cards, and I'm like, "No, it's a foil, man." I'm like the only person that doesn't like foil cards. That's why he gave up on Magic. Yeah, quit it. Yep, but. If you've been watching this on YouTube, please give it a like and subscribe. We're on a road to 1,000, and I appreciate you very much. If you're on any kind of a podcasty listening device, servicey thing like that, 5 stars is also appreciated. If you want to tell Richard he's a great person and should keep doing what he's doing, please do that. And if you don't. But for now, I've been Tyler. And I've been Richard. And we've been True Strike. Bye, everyone. See ya. Hey, adventurers. Thanks again for joining us today. Please be sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcasting platforms and YouTube. If there's any questions you like right in the show, please hit us up on X, Threads, or Instagram. New episodes release every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for listening to True Strike.